Hey y'all, hi, and welcome to another video in which I pretend to shop at Sephora and then I go shopping in my own vanity inside of my own house instead. So to prep for this video, I went browsing on the Sephora website. I haven't been there for a while, just poking around, seeing what's new and seeing if anything grabbed my fancy. And of course, because I love makeup, a lot of things grabbed my fancy. So in this video, I'm going to go through my fantasy cart, each piece of makeup that I put into my shopping cart at Sephora online, but chose not to actually buy. And then I'm going to go through the pieces of makeup one by one that I chose from my existing collection to wear today instead. And I'm going to build this look piece by piece, applying that makeup and talk you through the process. If this is your first time to my channel and you like this, I hope you'll subscribe. I do review makeup on my channel from time to time. I also sometimes make fashion content, but I try to stay grounded in reality. For makeup lovers, it is so tempting to constantly buy new makeup. And I try to always remind you and to remind myself, even when I am reviewing new makeup, that even though it's lovely, you may already have what you need to enjoy yourself and feel good. And now let's go ahead and get into the meat of the video. Okay, so these are all the things that I put into my cart at Sephora when I was fantasy shopping. The first two things that struck me are lip products, like lip treatment products, lip plumpers. They always get me. And I, have a pretty edited collection. I'm not swimming in lip glosses and lip balms the way that, well, maybe sometimes in my past I have felt that I was. Like I have a desire to buy this kind of thing and I'm like, oh my gosh, Hannah, you have like 15 lip treatment products. It's not like that right now, but how many lip treatment products does a person need? You know what I mean? You're just treating your lips like one. One is the answer. So it always surprises me, this desire to buy more and more and more different kinds of things that basically do the same thing. So the Bobbi Brown Extra Plump Hydrating Lip Serum, a new release from Bobbi Brown, which I think is supposed to have lip plumping and lip hydrating qualities. That really got me. It's like this pale shell pink color, looks extremely legit, like it's really gonna hydrate and plump your lips. It's Bobbi Brown. It just feels high-end. I just saw it and I wanted it. And then the other one is also selling itself to me because of the branding. It's the Mara Sea Silk Lip Balm. This product is new to Sephora. I think the brand Mara is new to Sephora and I don't know anything about the brand, but Sea Silk Lip Balm. And this beautiful, looks like a matte, kind of like butter cream, yellow squeezy tube. It all just looks very promising and it immediately made me want to buy it. And both of these things, I wanted them with this feeling that was like, I want them and I need them because my lips are so dry. So I put them both in my fantasy cart. The third thing that I put in my cart was also a lip product that also has treatment qualities. I am delighted to see that Ami Colé is in Sephora. I recently discussed this brand in my video about Violet Grey makeup, and I was delighted at that time to see that Ami Colé was at Violet Grey. The brand is makeup formulated specifically for melanin-rich skin. There are some products in the brand that are obviously universal, and the one that is the most intriguing to me as a universal product is the one that I tested in the Violet Grey video as a way of spotlighting the fact that this wonderful brand had launched at Violet Grey. It's the Ami Colé Lip Treatment Oil. And at that time, there was just one color, this beautiful brown color that I absolutely love. But when I clicked on it on Sephora, I saw that the brand has since launched 2 other colors. So it's launched in Sephora with 3 colors of the Ami Colé Lip Treatment Oil. And because I love the brown one so much, I immediately was like, oh my gosh, I want to try the pink one. I want to try the clear one. I need them all. I have learned this lesson over and over again, that when I love a product so much that I want to buy it in another color, and then I do buy it in another color, I never love the second color as much as I loved the first one. But still, I put the color Bliss, which is like the lovely rich pink in the Ami Colé Lip Treatment Oil, into my fantasy cart. The next thing that got me was the Pat McGrath Chroma Luxe Artistry Pigment Star Wars Edition. Not necessarily because it's the Star Wars edition, but because these little pigment pots, these little shiny pigment pots will always allure me. I learned during my recent declutter that it's a kind of makeup that doesn't really get that much play in my collection. I tend to reach for my singles and my palettes. I decluttered so many little individual pots and pans and tiny single eyeshadow compacts in that declutter, and it would be foolish for me to acquire another one. But there's something about that kind of makeup, just the packaging of it, the way that it sells itself, and the implication of a single color all over the lid, I think, which is a look that I really love. When I'm browsing, when I've been bitten by the shopping bug, it gets me every time. So I put one of these into my cart. The color is Extra Galactic Gold. It's kind of like a dirty, bronzy, warm, ruddy gold. Really like a brown, actually. It's not gold. It's like a warm, ruddy brown with flecks of gold in it. In spite of myself, and even though I talked about not wanting it in New Makeup Hot Takes, I clicked on the Charlotte Tilbury Glow Glide Face Architect Highlighter, and then when I started looking at the images, I started wanting it. And it's because it's shinier than I thought. I thought it was sort of like a semi-shiny powder, like one of those soft highlighters that you just use to sculpt. But it actually looks like it packs a little bit of a punch, and the very powdery gloss on the model made me want to put powder highlighter all over my face, like really, really shiny, glossy, makeup-y powder highlighter in that super old school YouTube way where you're like highlighting the cheekbone, highlighting the bridge of the nose, highlighting underneath the brow with this powder. It made me crave to do that. So I put the Charlotte Tilbury Glow Glide Face Architect Highlighter in Moonlit Glow into my fantasy cart. And then lastly, weirdly, there weren't any blushes on the new makeup page that grabbed me, so I clicked on blush and I sorted for the newest things. And I don't know how new this actually is because it's like the fourth or fifth thing down. But the NARS blush, it's just a straight up NARS blush, is a really old school product. And again, I think this color Savage might be a color that's been in the NARS repertoire for years. I don't know if it's new or not, but it was the one that NARS had up as like the example of this product. So in the listing for the product on the blush page, the color Savage was the one that came up. And I just feel like I've never really looked at it before, never noticed it or seen it. And it's this wonderful kind of rosy brown, but that has like an oxblood quality to it almost. It definitely has some shimmer in it, and it has that earthy, rosy brown quality that attracts me so much in blushes. And it's a powder blush, so I feel like it was sort of dovetailing with that instinct that I already had to go for old school powder highlight, surprising myself more than anyone. So I put the NARS blush in Savage into my cart as well, and ended myself up with a $193 total to my fantasy cart. So if I were to impulse buy all of these things that I impulsively felt I wanted when I was scrolling on Sephora, I'd be spending around $200. Let us see how well I can save myself that money by shopping my stash and putting on a makeup look using the products that I already own. So as soon as I asked myself, well, what do I have that I can use instead of this Bobbi Brown hydrating lip serum or the Mara Sea Silk lip balm? Well, the answer is easy. I have the Make Beauty Serum Balm in the color Nude Nova. I bought this for myself. This wasn't PR. It wasn't purchased with my channel's budget for review. It is a piece of skincare, really, that I had before. I had one of these last year. I used it up. It's my favorite lip treatment product that I've ever had. I missed it and I decided to spend some of my budget on it in, I think, November. I'm already wearing it, but I'm applying a bit more now. The color doesn't really mean much. I had Halo Moon the first time around, Nude Nova this time. You know, it's just an almost entirely translucent, but not super shiny. It has kind of a, it's like putting skincare, like literally a skincare, like gel cream onto your lips with a big fluffy doe foot wand. And here's the thing, I hand-picked it. It's the GOAT, the greatest of all time. I am fairly, if not entirely confident that Bobbi Brown Hydrating Lip Serum wouldn't hold a candle to this because I have tried a lot of this kind of thing, and this one is the unequivocal best. Mara Sea Silk Lip Balm, I already see the problem with it. It doesn't have a doe foot applicator. It's like you squeeze it on your finger, blah, blah. I don't want that. I want this. I want the one that I already have, the best one. It's also so beautiful, you know? It's so high-end. It's the exact kind of thing that I love. I picked it for myself, I bought it for myself, and I'm going to use it until it's gone. I'm going to let that sit on my lips and hydrate my lips for a while. So I'm going to skip the Ami Colé lip treatment oil that I put into my cart. I'm going to come back to that at the end after I've applied other makeup to my face. So let's go to the Pat McGrath Chrome Luxe Artistry Pigment Star Wars edition in the color Extra Galactic Gold. I don't have anything that gives me that sort of physical dupe for this product, meaning I don't have something like the old Tarte paint pots or the Victoria Beckham lid lusters, something like that, that's in a pot with a screw top in a color comparable to Extra Galactic Gold. I think that if I owned the Victoria Beckham mink lid luster, that would probably be the best comp. Like that's the thing I would be using instead of this. I do have a Victoria Beckham lid luster, but it's in the shade Onyx, which is like this rich, sparkly black. Not the thing, right? Not this gold color. But I wanted to come as close as possible by using something that's like just on its own one little eyeshadow. Like I wanted to dupe as close as possible the experience of having like the one precious color where it's just the one color and you're doing the whole eye look with one little thing. So I went with the Chantecaille Giraffe. I consider this to be like a warm neutral brown with quite a bit of dimension. You know what I mean? It's like this lovely warm neutral brown, kind of like a coppery brown, but without actually being copper, with a lot of textural satisfaction. Physically, I think the substance is different than what Pat McGrath is selling, but the experience of just having one, of being like, this is a little one I'm going to wear today on my eyes, and the color, and I think consequently the effect of the eye look that I'm going to achieve, they really have a lot in common. And I love using this little giraffe. So I'm going to put it just all over both of my lids. I think I'm going to go for a relatively light wash of color today, actually. Kind of keep it fresh. And I'm just going to stick a little bit of it in the outer corner as well, like build it up a little in the outer corner and on my lower lash line. I'm just bringing a little bit more of it up onto the part of my lid that comes down over my mobile lid because I have hooded eyes, just a little bit more on the outside edge so that it doesn't have this effect where my tiny little lid, like the bit of my lid that shows, is the only part that has the darkest bit of eyeshadow on it, because that makes my hooded eyes look much smaller than they are. So I'm still trying to keep it pretty light, but I'm just expanding that slightly more darkened area up towards the tail of my brow onto the hood. So now there's a bit more of a diffusion of the eyeshadow, even when I'm looking straight at you. I mean, obviously when I'm like this, which is what I see when I'm doing the eyeshadow, there's a lot of it. But when I'm looking straight at you, if I hadn't put this extra eyeshadow out here and out here, my eyes would look much smaller. Just a little hooded eye moment for you. Okay, so the blend isn't the most even thing that I've ever seen in my life, but I think I'm gonna bring some of the highlighting products onto my eyes as well. Actually, it's looking pretty unblended. So I'm gonna do highlighter and then blush, which I don't like when it comes to powders. I don't like that look of like a stripe of highlighter, like metallic highlighter on top of the color of the blush. I like it to really look like it's melting into the skin. And so to get that, I'm gonna do highlighter and then blush. And I went off the rails a little with highlighter. So the thing that I have that I think, although I could be wrong, that I think is closest to what the Charlotte Tilbury Glow Glide Face Architect highlighter is trying to do is this Chantecaille Lotus Perfect Glow powder, although I feel like this is probably a little bit less glowy, sort of like a softly glowy setting powder. It does, yeah, it's like a soft glow. Before I had really examined the listing, I thought that this is what the Charlotte Tilbury powder was supposed to be. But now that I've examined the listing, I think this is probably more subtle than what it is saying that it is. So I'm going to go in with this other Chantecaille powder from the same collection, which is the Lotus Radiance Highlighter. It's a similar product, it just has more glow. And this is where we go off the rails a little. And this is what makes shopping one stash instead of shopping at the store so exciting. When I was thinking about powder highlight, I was thinking about my desire for that very glossy powder highlight look. I was in my feelings about that. And I was looking at my makeup. I remembered that something I've been wanting to do for a long time since I decluttered my makeup is to get some use out of this Odin's Eye Lavender Dream highlighter, right? Not my usual fare, but one of these makeup products that just sets my heart on fire. So this isn't a dupe for one of the things that I fantasy shopped for at Sephora, but that's not keeping me from acting on my excitement about the idea of using it, the excitement that sprung up as a result of me shopping my stash instead of shopping at Sephora. Because that's what this is all about, right? This is all about getting use out of what you own, letting what you own inspire you, and having that inspiration be more gratifying than buying the fantasy of makeup that you've never even tried and you don't even know whether it's going to work the way that you think that it is. So I'm going to use both of them. I'm going to start with the more traditional Chantecaille. I'm using sort of a diffuse brush to apply this, so we're probably not getting that super targeted shine. But I want to have something for the Odin's Eye one to kind of blend into. Okay, and now let's go in with this. This is the Samantha X Sigma fan brush. Old school highlighter with a fan brush, super shiny highlighter with a fan brush. I'm trying to keep it a little bit subtle, right, in spite of myself. And I'm trying to keep it localized, unlike what I was doing with the other ones. I'm gonna do a little bit. Actually, I don't really want very much of it on the nose, just a little bit, but I do want it on my brow bone, right? I do want it to be like the second factor in the eye look. Actually, I think I'm gonna go in with my finger. Definitely as good as an eyeshadow. Okay, so I said brow bone, but I ended up putting it all over my lids and then kind of connecting it down to the cheek. And that is making me very happy. That is like the look I want to be in today. I love it. And it's subtle in its way, It's not too much. I'm going to pop a tiny bit of blush. The blush that I grabbed as a replacement for my desire for the NARS blush in Savage is the Gucci blush in Rosy Beige. I don't have very many powder blushes, so I didn't really have any options, and it's not as though it's the same. But it is similarly sort of like a rich, gratifying, earthy, neutral color, and it will definitely do the job. I really like how my cheeks look right now, so I'm just going to be really conservative with this. I'm just going to put a little bit of it here. Yeah, really just the littlest bit. Yeah, so we got a little bit of a wash of color, got a little bit more of an artistic look on the cheeks, but without disturbing that shine. I like it. Okay, I didn't fantasy shop for any mascara. I'm going to use the Make Beauty Lash Prototype Mascara. I want a wispy lash though, so I always do this with this crazy mascara, but I'm going to even more aggressively than usual wipe it off so that the wand is essentially been wiped clean. And I think that'll give me a good wispy look. Yeah, sort of a fluffy, natural look, but it's still built some length and volume onto my lashes. So it's so interesting. It's an interesting formula. And more than enough left on the wand to define my lower lashes without ever dipping it back in. All that remains is to dupe the desire for the Ami Colé lip treatment oil in Bliss. This one was easy. I just pulled the Ami Colé lip treatment oil that I own, which is in, this didn't have a color back when it was the only one. Now they're calling it Excellence, or maybe it was called Excellence before and it just isn't written on the tube, but I'm fairly confident that this is the shade that I have. Look how much of it I've used since that violet gray review. We're not messing around over here with the Ami Colé lip treatment oil. What misguided fantasy is making me want another color in this product when I already have the color that I would choose if I didn't have any of them and I was just buying one? There's no chance that the subtle light pink Bliss could even begin to hold a candle to this color. It's a lovely product, but what I really, really, really love about it is the color. So I already have the one that I want. It's one of the silliest and least logical instincts when it comes to the love of beautiful things and, the love of having makeup and even clothing, to buy the same thing you already have, but in like a slightly different iteration than the one that was your first choice. Because if you already own your first choice, you're always going to like your first choice better than that same pair of pants, but in a different color. You're always going to want to wear the ones you already own, like the ones that you love so much that it's making you want to buy another pair. But you can't just multiply your appreciation for the thing you already own like that. You can't take advantage of that love. I think that's part of what we want to do. It's like we feel so excited that we love a thing. Like I feel so excited that I love this lip product that I want to put that love into action, or that wisdom, this new knowledge about myself and about this product. I want to act on it. And even though I know that it's illogical, there's just part of my brain that will always tell me to act on it by buying it again in another color. And that's okay. It's just I'm glad that I now know what that is and that I can clock it when I see it, and I can say to that part of my brain, it never works out the way that you think it's going to. The best way you can act on the love, the excitement, is to use the one that you already love, the one that you have, more. Like wake up in the morning and be like, yay, I'm so excited I get to wear those pants that I really, really love. Instead of waking up in the morning and being like, yay, I love these pants so much, I'm going to go buy them again in a color that I don't like quite as much as the color that I already have. Why are we like this? So that is it. This is the look that I created shopping my stash instead of shopping at Sephora. Is it exactly the same as the look that I would have on my face if I had purchased the Bobbi Brown Hydrating Lip Serum, the Mara Sea Silk Lip Balm, the Amicole Lip Treatment Oil in Bliss, the Pat McGrath Chroma Luxe Artistry Pigment Star Wars Edition in Extra Galactic Gold, the Charlotte Tilbury Glow Glide Face Architect Highlighter in Moonlit Glow, and the NARS Blush in Savage. No, it is not the look that I would be wearing if I had purchased all of those things for $200 at Sephora, come home, and put them all on my face. However, and this is the important thing, going through the process of putting this makeup on my face has transferred my affections from this fantasy cart of products that, again, may or may not even perform the way that I'm imagining that they will, and onto this beautiful makeup that I already own, that I know about, and that I know how to wield, and that I've only used a tiny bit of, really, all things considered. I've only really scratched the surface of using all of these products, even though some of them I've had for quite a while. And I'm very pleased with the look. Once again, evidence that applying makeup, using makeup, is a very good antidote to the desire to buy makeup. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you spending this time with me. I hope you will subscribe before you go if this is your first time watching me. And I really hope that you are remembering to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.